Welcome to the Red Bean Podcast, the New Orleans edition. This is your host, Mr. Toad.
And I'm Dr. Frog.
We're going to be talking about Drago's seafood restaurant. This was my first time going there. What did you think?
Really? I've only been there a few times. I only go there for special occasions, but it was a wonderful place for us to choose for this week. And I was extremely impressed. The inside was busy. I liked the open floor plan. I arrived a little bit early, so I got time to wait at the bar. They didn't have a lot of seating for people waiting for other guests, or if the place was packed, they'd sometimes give you a wait time. But the bar was great. I struck up some friendly conversations there, and apparently the owner used to hang out at that bar. And I know that he passed away a few years ago prior to COVID, but it really had this great family atmosphere when I was there. I also heard that President Biden
he stopped by there.
Ate there recently.
I didn't realize. Oh, wow. That's pretty
Only a few weeks prior, yeah.
Wow. Overall, I would definitely say this is a really good oyster place. If someone's coming into New Orleans and they're like, I really want to try some really good oysters, this is a pretty good contender of being a great place to check out.
Oh, right? Yeah, I would either say it's this or Acme, but Drago's oysters were fantastic when we went. The
raw oysters were so refreshing. This was the first time I've tried raw oysters. I've tried charbroiled oysters in the past, but the raw oysters, it was so refreshing, and it was like, you could really taste the Gulf, like you were saying.
Yeah, I felt like there was some Gulf water. Well,
I know. I was sitting there sucking on it. I was like, this is like salt water, kind of. Yeah.
But it's so fresh. And, there's a real difference whenever I have oysters in the Midwest or East Coast or West Coast. It's just different.
I would have to say this is the perfect dish to have if it's a really hot day.
Yes.
And you need something to give you some hydration, but at the same time, something filling. This was pretty good.
Oh, it was refreshing. It was cool. There's so much hot food in New Orleans, especially fried hot food.
Yeah.
That just having some fresh raw oysters. I mean, you could have a couple dozen of these, and they were very. I'm thinking the German word is preiswert, but they were very well priced.
Yeah.
I suppose. Raw is usually a lot cheaper than broiled oysters or char-grilled. Yeah, no, char-broiled oysters, yeah.
I liked how we were like kind of scooping them out and just like sucking on them. They had a sauce on there. I didn't even need the sauce, honestly. I felt like I didn't even need, just suck it down.
Yeah, I mean, they have the cocktail sauce. They have the horseradish as well if you want. Really what I do, I just squeeze some lemon over it. It makes it a little fresher, a little zingier. And if that is a term, but yeah, they were large and what I loved about these raw oysters, they weren't chewy. A lot of people don't like the texture of raw, but these were just I could just slurp them down. I could have several dozen of these. Yeah,
I felt like you can just suck them down. It was very refreshing. A little, I guess some people might be freaked out a little bit, but maybe the texture of it, like you were saying, like maybe it's a little slimy, but I didn't really feel the slime. I felt like it was one of those few things where I'm usually pretty conscious about something being slimy in the mouth, but this was not slimy. This was like just tasty. It went down smooth, a little chewy, but that was good. And then you had the little lemon flavor, and then you had that like, I can't describe it. It's like salt water, but it wasn't salt water. But it was like, you could really taste it. It was like, wow, this came out of the ocean. Really.
Yeah, you can tell. It even says on the website, those salty coast raw oysters.
Yep.
And, the thing about them that I also like is whoever was shucking them was doing a good job. Because, what happens when you use that knife and you kind of pry it open, if they're closed and alive, right? Then you cut underneath them. And a lot of times people do a sloppy job with it. And you sometimes have to kind of pull it off, or you have to contend with a bit that's still stuck on the shell. Not these; they just slid.
They just slid right off. There was no like fighting it or anything like that. You didn't have to sit there with like a sharp knife and just start cutting in there.
They were so good. You hardly paid attention to what you looked like while slurping them down.
Of course.
It sends you to another place.
Super refreshing. And the other thing I would also say is we also had the charbroiled oysters. Man, were those great
Oh my goodness!
What?
This is what Drago's is famous for, and you can tell it's. I like that there was a light amount of cheese. There are some places that just drench the charbroiled oysters with cheese.
They were a little burnt a little bit, but not too bad.
I noticed that, and there were a few that where some of the burnt black crust kind of stuff was, on the oyster itself, which I think, it gave it a little bit of a burnt taste for some of them. But this is something that, you put some Tabasco sauce on it. You got your oyster crackers.
You definitely got it.
And you're good.
The other two things we consumed were boudin balls and the fried gator bites. Man, the fried gator bites was so good.
Yeah, I felt bad because I just kept dipping them in.
I know, I saw you dip it. I was like, oh, you love it.
Yeah. And then the boudin balls, they were good. They were spiced. I think they were pork-based. There was pork in them. Yeah, spicy pork.
Yep, fried
sort of
Cajun bite made with spicy pork and rice sausage. So there's a little rice inside of it.
Yeah, like boudin. That's what you have. But one thing that some boudin balls have in is cheese. These didn't have the cheese. So I think it would have been a little bit...
I love the boudin balls. The one thing I did like was the sauce that the boudin balls sat on top of, which you really can't... I can't stress how much I love that sauce. Where I was kind of breaking the ball up and just kind of scooping a little bit of that sauce.
A little bit more, yeah.
Super delicious. And I would have to say the fried gator bites. What did you think of them overall?
It was good. Whenever I eat gator, sometimes whenever I eat fried gator, especially, it reminds me of chicken a little bit.
It's like a chicken nugget, but it's not a chicken nugget.
Yeah, it had the texture of a chicken nugget. So the gator, you could tell it was minced before fried. Some places, it's still a little chunky gator before you fry it, but these were pretty minced, and you're right, it had the consistency of a chicken nugget almost.
The one thing I would say about the charbroiled oysters that we had, I love that olive oil sauce, and then we took the bread and we kind of dipped it into it.
It's like butter and olive oil. It's really good.
It was super smooth, and I like this idea. We put the bread into the sauce with the olive oil, and then we pulled it out, and then we scooped up a little bit of the oyster, and we put it on top of it, and then you ate it. Oh, that was so good.
It's the classic New Orleans technique.
You can't beat that. You really can't. I would definitely suggest that if you're coming in to New Orleans, you want some good charbroiled oysters, this is a top contender.
Oh yeah, this is a place if you have a friend flying in, and Metairie's pretty close to the airport. That's out in Kenner, so if someone's flying in and it's an evening, even if it's a busy evening like Saturday when we went, you can still find a place. Now there are other stuff. They had onion rings, they had eggplant romano, they had different
spinach dipping sauce.
Spinach dip.
They had a crab
and the
gratin dip.
We didn't try it this time, but that's not saying anything about the dish. It's just there were so many things to eat. We couldn't do the entire menu.
No, it was just too much. It was a lot. It was so
We wanted to, though.
Yeah. The crab cake looks like something they would definitely check out next time, maybe. It looks really good. And the crawfish meatball, that sounds very interesting. A crawfish and crab meat stuffing topped with a spicy marinara and cream sauce. Ooh, that was really good. We'll be putting imagery into our video so people can kind of look at each of these things. But the boudin balls, really good. Fried gator bites, definitely. Would you suggest that for someone to have that as a good appetizer?
Oh, excellent. It's as long as someone's not vegetarian or vegan, I think they'll have a good time with them.
Definitely. And I would say also, not only that we're going to show some pictures of us destroying the food and everything in the aftermath, but the one thing I was very impressed with was Mama Ruth's seafood gumbo, the bowl. That's what I had.
You had the seafood gumbo. I think I had the sausage gumbo.
Yeah.
The andouille, chicken and andouille sausage gumbo. Boy, was it a nice bowl.
Oh my gosh.
I liked the bowl. It was a deep bowl.
Yeah.
And then it had this sort of platform around it. It had this sort of wide rim.
I liked it that it was almost like spill-proof or something. It was like if you accidentally dribbled or something, you would not dribble on yourself.
It would slowly ooze back into the bowl.
It would just slowly roll right back into the bowl. It was kind of like if there was it kind of reminds me of the movie Indiana Jones when he had that giant ball following him and stuff,
Sure.
and he's running away. It's almost like
the only difference
incline.
Is if that was a giant crawfish ball, meatball, we'd be running towards it instead of away.
Yeah, but we might also get flattened by it too.
Do you think if it was a crawfish meatball rolling after Indy, do you think he would? Do you think he'd turn around and think?
I think he'd be like, I don't know, maybe I should turn around and take a little bite out of this thing.
Take a little bite, yeah.
Let me get like in a little wedge or something, and then as it's coming by, I'm gonna have like a little shovel and just kind of scoop out a little bit, piece out. Yeah, there you go. And then you come back and you find out where it landed at, and hopefully it landed in a big bowl of gumbo, and then you could just.
Well, yeah, your gumbo looked great. I also had sides of. We both had sides of the red beans and rice.
Of course,
which I thought were great. And it's hard in New Orleans because there's so many different kinds of red beans and rice. I mean, you could go to Langston's and buy them by the bucket, frozen, and make your own. We got Zatarain's, we got Tony Chachere's. We got all the makings to have some good red beans and rice, but these were good quality.
The other thing I couldn't get over was the mac and cheese with what was it?
So this was actually I ordered the lobster mac, but they were out of lobster, so we did a crawfish mac, craw mac or whatever it's called, crawfish mac.
Yeah, the crawfish mac was so good. What I loved about it is you had the crawfish, you had a little bit of cheese.
That cheese was fresh.
Oh my gosh, it was so fresh. It was so good.
The face, when you tried it, before I tried it, I was a little bit worried to try it because you were like, "This is really good." And
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing."
And I was thinking, out of everything that we've had tonight, it's going to be the side of crawfish mac and cheese.
We can't stress enough to the audience how good this mac and cheese is.
It is creamy. It's rich. It was decadent. It was great.
If you're going to get a side dish, this is definitely the side dish to get.
I would say so. Yeah, even more so than the red beans and rice.
As much as I love the red beans, and they were super good.
We're probably spoiled for choice.
Yeah, we're probably spoiled for choice. But if you're coming into town, getting a red bean and the crawfish...
Just a little bit of everything. I think that's one thing about this menu, is I kind of looked at it all and said, can you just... keep sending out plates.
Yeah, it's like, keep them coming, keep them coming. It was so good. Now we're looking at some of the other things on the menu.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't get these, but
they had a lot of shrimp dishes, I noticed. Stuffed shrimp, shrimp creole, shrimp pasta, barbecue shrimp pasta, grilled shrimp pasta. They had a lot of things with shrimp. And I'm maybe it's because I'm a little bit
boudin stuffed shrimp. Ooh.
Oh yeah. I'm used to a lot of shrimp dishes, so I kind of tried to stay away. I was trying to stay more towards the oysters and what they're known for.
Yeah. And there's also
it's all delicious, I'm sure.
There's also some vegan option I can kind of see here for Drago's chopped salad. So if someone is like maybe not into the meats, or maybe they have a shellfish allergy, this Drago chopped salad is really good.
Or the romaine wedge salad. I mean, they do have options, and I'm sure in some of the soups, maybe you could, edit out some of the meat. I'm not sure how customized an order you could give. They also have a lot of entrees that were sort of heavier, larger dishes. The lobster, they have a lot of lobster dishes.
The one thing that I liked a lot, and we didn't take a picture because I wasn't sure if we asked permission from the guy, but they have a giant tank actually at Drago's where you have the lobster in there, and as the customer, you can go in there and I guess you can point them out and say, I want that
lobsters. I saw that.
And take them right then and there, and then they'll cook the lobster there for you.
So someone had the lobster grabber, and you're right, it would have been probably rude to take a live video of someone pulling it out. But
yeah, they're like, hey, wait a second, this is my own private lobster. I'm like, oh, okay. But if it was my own personal lobster, I'm like, no, it's fair game at this point.
Well, you have to give it a name first, right?
I have to give it a name, and then it gets fried afterwards.
Then you can say you're making a home video.
Yeah, it's a special kind of video.
Even after you eat it, you kind of take it home with you, right?
Yeah, it's like
it's in your belly.
It always stays with me.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, there were lots of seafood catches besides the lobster.
I like this. We didn't get it, but the catch of the day. If someone was interested in getting some Mediterranean catch, it's like a baked with tomatoes and capers and herbs, served with sautéed spinach and potatoes. You had some baked salmon, fried catch, Cajun baked catch. And then golden fried catch. It looks almost like a battered and fried served with fries. Yeah.
And one thing you notice is that down here, you still get the salmon. You get a lot of more ocean fishes down here. In the Midwest, sometimes you'll get a lot of lake fish. You'll get walleye, trout, and bass and those things. But I like down here, there's a lot of shellfish. So you're going to get... It's okay to be shellfish when you're eating shellfish. It's okay to be shellfish when you're eating shellfish.
Sure.
You're going to get your oysters, your shrimp, your lobsters, and it's something that, especially if you're traveling to New Orleans, you should really expand your palate a bit and try all the different spices and flavors.
The other thing I would say is if you're, for whatever reason, maybe not a fan of shellfish or seafood, but you're more of a steak person, I'm looking at their selection. They have a boneless short rib.
Yeah.
They have a bone and ribeye that looks really good.
Oh,
2 fillets, mignon, red bean and
Filet
rice,
mignon.
obviously, filet mignon. And they got some seared chicken, pan-seared chicken. That looks really good.
And, it's okay to order chicken if you're feeling that. If you're out, maybe you're at a family reunion or something, and you kind of get dragged out there. Maybe you've had a lot of seafood recently. It's okay to...
I didn't see this on there, but next time, this also looks really good. The charbroiled corn on the cob.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love corn on the cob.
I wonder if they just let the corn soak up the spicy flavors, maybe. That's what I'm hoping.
And if you have some young kids there, they have some sweet potato fries, and of course they have French fries for the young kids.
And mashed potatoes, some cornbread, something that's for the children's palate. They also have a whole separate children's menu where you get chicken fingers and hamburgers and some things that... if you're out with a family, there's really something for everyone.
Especially this for the kids. I think this is like, they would like it. The kids, Alfredo pasta. Yeah.
Cheese and noodles. Why not?
Yeah. And of course, we also had a dessert.
Yes. And there were so many different kinds of dessert. We had a very classic Southern dish, bread pudding a la mode. We had some ice cream along with our bread pudding, and it was the perfect amount of cold and hot.
I like the bread pudding. I will say, though, that this is not my best bread pudding.
Really?
This is definitely up there in the bread pudding area.
This is up there for me. I haven't had a lot, though, so I'm going to have to explore more bread puddings. But
one thing I did like about this was when you get the bread pudding with the vanilla ice cream, they'll also stick a little strawberries in there.
So, yeah, there was some fruit between the two.
Very refreshing. Very refreshing.
You get one of those on the spoon and... mix it in with everything.
Mix it with the vegetable, not vegetable, but of course, let's see, in the picture here, we got some blueberries, you got some strawberries, but I was kind of hesitant at first. I was like, fruits and ice cream, but then it actually worked out really good.
I didn't expect that. I thought it was a nice touch.
It was definitely super sweet, super tasty, and it's definitely a good way to kind of wrap up a massive meal.
It was, and I think our waiter was surprised that we were able to get some after everything else. We ate so much. He was almost trying to say, "Are you sure you don't want to?"
Are you sure you guys want to
dessert, please? Dessert.
Yeah, dessert, please. We gotta try this out for sure. Great. So I would say, out of a score of 0 not being good at all and 10 being amazing, what would you give it, Dr. Frog?
Food-wise, I'm giving it a 10.
Okay.
And that's because I think, what can I improve upon? And there are only some very minor things that weren't perfect. A little bit of the burnt charbroiled.
Yeah.
The bread pudding, some of the corners of the bread pudding were a little tougher.
Yeah.
But these are really, really picky things.
Really minute.
For me is 10 out of 10. The only thing I would say with a caveat or an asterisk is it is on the expensive side.
Yeah, it was very pricey.
So in some places in New Orleans, you might find a dozen raw oysters for $8 to $12. And you might find char-grilled for normally $15 to $20. But here you're going to almost pay double. So you're looking at maybe $15 for the raw or $14 for the raw, and then a full $30, even pre-tax.
Yeah.
Just for the dozen char-grilled. And I think it's important to take that into account because the sides were maybe $14, $15 a piece.
It adds up.
It adds up. We paid a couple of Benjamins over.
Yeah, we paid over that.
Yeah. So, it's important to maybe save this for a special event.
Yeah.
This isn't the sort of place I'd want to... The bar I wouldn't mind going to happy hour for. Or maybe just, grabbing an appetizer. But
or maybe just grabbing quick dessert or something.
I couldn't picture if you go out to eat normally, or if you're thinking of that, it can get quite expensive.
You think this would be something good for like maybe a wedding anniversary, maybe 20 years?
Yes, wedding anniversary,
or maybe graduation, like you graduated.
yeah, or family reunions. So people are in from out of town.
Yeah,
and you want to give them the taste of New Orleans that they can't normally get.
Especially if you're in the business industry, you have a client coming in.
Oh yeah,
a high profile client. You really want to impress them.
Or recruiting, if you're a senior executive recruiting, maybe as long as you're within company boundaries of what you can spend
or how much you can spend. But if you're doing a corporate event or you're dealing with corporate clients, if you want to take them to a very high end type of food experience, this is a place to check out.
Some of the best food in New Orleans.
You got it.
And it's I'm sure it's why it's known as one of the best as well.
I would give this a 9.5.
9.5, okay.
9.5. The thing that kind of pushed me not from a 10 was the charbroiled was a little burnt a little bit, and I felt like the bread pudding was a little hard. But other than that, everything was perfect. I still can't get over, and I know we're going to get back into this one more time, but I still can't get over the lobster. I mean,
we had the crawfish mac.
The crawfish mac and cheese.
We've got to go back to get the lobster.
We got to get the lobster, and that's something that I would suggest if you're going there and you have a side dish. Definitely check that the crawfish mac and cheese.
Certainly.
It was perfectly set up.
Delicious.
And the red beans was also excellent, and it wasn't that heavily priced either, which I was kind of thankful for.
So I'm fairly picky, and you heard me disparage it, but I'm still giving it a 10 out of 10. So you take it for what you will. If someone complains and then gives it a perfect score,
exactly. No, that's good. No, that's good.
There.
I think we need to give our audience as clear of a view as we can of what we're doing.
The fact that it was New Orleans fare too probably persuaded me a bit. If this was the best, Northwest Pacific avocado place ever, I would probably say, I might not appreciate the differences, but you can taste the differences in the raw oysters. You can taste the differences in the quality.
Yeah, once you get to this point, I feel like we're getting to the point where, it's almost like we got the Lamborghini and you got the Ferrari, and they're both racing and they're both fast and they're both amazing.
Yeah.
But one might be a little here, a little there, and I felt like Drago's was really good. Nonetheless, it's still a Ferrari.
I mean, at this point, whether you're Verstappen, who's of course #1 Formula racer for Ferrari, or whether it's just you and your Lambo, or maybe an Aston Martin DB9.
That's right.
Take that, or a Viper.
This is kind of like, I would say, this is one of these core restaurants that are very high end. You're going to get a great experience. This is a Lamborghini.
This is one that decades later I'll remember.
Yeah. Because when you think of,
and I'll still be able to recommend it to others.
Yep.
And then send them a link to this video.
Yeah, check out our video. Please like and subscribe, as I always will throw on every video we do here. But overall, I have to say, big recommend for Drago's.
Very much so.
And I think we're going to slowly start to wrap this up. This has been our review of Drago's. If you could like and subscribe.
And this is Drago's. This is the restaurant. This isn't the opponent of Rocky and Rocky.
This is not opponent of Rocky.
This is not Drago, the
Russian. We were actually looking at this before we started recording, and I was just saying, like, Dolph Lundgren played Captain Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago.
I will break you. The good news is
this is a good Drago it'll break your stomach, but in a good way if you order too much.
And don't worry, it won't kill your friend Apollo Creed while you're over there.
No.
Carl Weathers is a great actor, so we'll just kind of.
If it's a spoiler, it's been several decades. It's okay.
That is true. And then, of course, Sylvester Stallone would probably recommend this place if he got to eat.
If when he was calling out Adrian in that first Rocky movie, the part that they cut out was he said, "Let's go to New Orleans and go to Drago's."
That's right.
Yeah,
like in the middle of his training, when
they
punching.
Cut that part out. After he said Adrian, he was trying to invite her to the.
I could actually see
Drago's
Rocky just walking into Drago's wearing the American flag.
The president visited there just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
You could have, if I was Stallone and I was flying in to meet my friends John Goodman or Nicolas Cage's, funeral site is already kind of planned in New Orleans, then swing by Drago's when you're in town. You might see a celebrity.
You might see a celebrity.
Will Ferrell lives in New Orleans too, so who knows?
I think what was his name also? Nicolas Cage also used to live here.
Yeah, I mentioned them.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. Cage and stuff. I would definitely say
Goodman.
John Goodman,
who's in Matinee.
Oh wow!
Which we should probably watch. Anyway,
we'll have to watch.
Great Dragos.
So this is definitely a place to check out.
The best Dragos.
I would say we were at the Metairie, the original location, but there is a couple other locations. They have the Hilton in New Orleans.
Yes,
they have the Baton Rouge location. They have Jackson, Lake Charles, and Bossier City.
Bossier
City.
But
I've never been.
Jackson's the Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi.
That's near I-20.
Yeah.
And 59. You probably drive through Jackson on 59I. Anyway, take care, everyone, and I hope that you like and subscribe and tell us what you think about Dragos.
Yep.
If you've been.
And that'll make for our review for Dragos, the seafood restaurant. Hopefully you will enjoy it. Like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.